Biologically, it is insane to think that men who impregnate a woman become less attracted to her when she is pregnant. Biologically, that is an insane notion. And let's dive into why. I will make an amendment. Men who like women. There are a lot of men that impregnate women who don't actually like women. That is my amendment. But first, hi, my name is Shanna Conde. I talk all about the philosophies, the joy, the thoughts, and the theories behind the realities of being a child-free person. And now let's dive into this comment, but don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all of those things. And I need my reading glasses. All right, this person says, it is illogical to say that there is no proof that no man wants to date a single mom, which I agree with, but then to assert that every husband that loves his wife is more attracted to her when she's pregnant, irrespective of physical changes, that's simply not true at all. Loss of attraction to spouse postpartum is actually a huge factor behind divorces. Now, I won't get into all of the other comments that are here, but I would just like to point this out here. Love that fizzles out when a woman gets pregnant to the point where the father has an affair is not the kind of love that any pregnant woman deserves. Now, while I recognize the initial commenter wasn't talking about affairs, cheating, any kind of disrespect within the intentional disrespect within their marriage, this is also a thing that happens consistently. But I want to dive into the science. I want to share some stats because if you think about the human species, there would be like pair bonding. If you, hold up, was getting distracted from everything behind me. For the sake of the continuation of a species, what tends to happen outside of, I'll talk about birds and then I'll talk about mammals generally. With birds, they pair bond, and 90% of birds create lifelong partnerships, and they always come back to the same breeding spot. Sometimes they travel the world together, sometimes they go their separate ways. But when it's time to breed, when it's time to create the next generation, there is a reuniting that happens. There is a reconnecting that happens. There tends to be special dances, special songs, signatures that they have to reconnect with each other. So that way they are attuned with each other for the safety and the continuation, for the safety of their children and the continuation of their species. Male birds don't become less attracted to female birds after the female bird becomes pregnant. Because if that were to happen, and then the male bird were to deuce out, there would arguably be no birds. The kind of care that baby birds need requires two active parents, which is why pair bonding is so important. Now, mammals, the vast majority of mammals are different because the vast majority of mammals, the dad deuces out immediately. But humans are different. All right, fight with somebody else. What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to the pair bonding that should be happening in healthy, committed relationships, the amount of attraction to the pregnant person in the situation should grow for the safety of the child and for the continuation of the species. Hormonally, there are some people that have done some research on this that I'm going to share with you now, because if you're attracted to your partner and you want to have children and raise those children with your partner, then hormonally, there are things that happen in the brain and in the body that produce that kind of bonding, that deepening of the bonding. So let's dive into that. Now, I had to filter through a lot of articles that made me very uncomfortable. One of which is actually this article from CNN. I will not be reading most of this article because 2012, we still had a lot of learning to do, and the things that are in this article genuinely made me grossly uncomfortable. But there is one paragraph that I think has something that we could all take from it. And it is this paragraph right here. Maybe, says neuropsychiatrist Dr. Lowen Brizendine, author of The Female Brain and Male Brain. Brizendine says pheromones given off by a pregnant woman are known to suppress the testosterone levels in her male partner and increase his production of the hormone prolactin. These changes might play a role in forming daddy brain, a state that keeps the father rooted to the mother so he'll help care for her and the baby after birth. Perhaps, Brizendine suggests, there's something pheromonal going on while I was in the grocery store that day. Earlier, she talks about a thing that happened in the grocery store where basically people found her very, very attractive as she was very, very pregnant. Now, I recognize that we are in a fascinating state of human existence. The corn industry is thriving, alive, and well, and there's all kinds of flavors for all kinds of preferences, and pregnant people, fetishists, are all over the place. I don't think this is what this is talking about. And I'm going to show you another article from Elle where they took, now mind you, some people are like, oh, but it's Elle magazine. Here's the thing. If you're a journalist and if you're a good journalist, you'll create a genuine sample size. And what this article in Elle did is they took 20 men, married men with pregnant wives from all over different kinds of backgrounds, all these things. And they just asked them, hey, how do you feel about your wife? And now that she's pregnant, let's dive into the article. Now, mind you, these are men that like their wives and like women. Not all men who get somebody pregnant like them or like women in general. This is the name of the article. It was created in late 2023. 20 men reveal what they thought of their partner's pregnant body. I know. It sounds like it's going to be terrible. Now, there's one segment that I will be doing a deeper dive into in this video, but let's go through all 20 of their general responses, because I know that there's going to be men in the comments. It's like, oh, she didn't talk about all of them. I guess some men agreed with us. No, we're not going to ooga booga on here. Number 1, I saw what a baby did to her. It made me want to fill her with more. Terrifying. Does this also have an element of this deep kind of bonding that is low-key necessary for the people that want to do this kind of thing to continue the human species? Yes. This is a reaction that, while off-putting to me as somebody that does not want children, and this sounds like a threat to my happiness, I'm hoping that it works for this couple. I thought my wife got hotter and stayed hotter during pregnancy. Bing, bang, boom. Number 2, she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Her hair, skin, face, body. Yeah, and the scuba-da-bop was challenging as she got larger, but she would normally lay on her side with one. Okay, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on this platform, but scuba-da-bop. Next, they talk about, oh yeah, her smell was different, which happens. It's sexy. It's a change, but it's a change that they enjoy. If they like women and if they like their partner. Number 4, I was more caring towards her, but not as sexually attracted, which still falls under this umbrella of what pair bonding can look like, because the objective is not necessarily, okay, I need to create more babies now, but let's care for the person creating the child. Let's just read what they have to say. During the first 8 to 12 weeks, nothing really changed because she was not showing as much. I did enjoy her huge boobies. Ooga booga. As soon as she started to really show, however, I was not as horny. I was definitely more caring towards her, but just not as sexually attracted. Personally, I think this still sits and fits for reasons that I said before. You can't, biologically, it makes sense that there's a deeper level of care, intimacy, attention. A lot of men think that sex and intimacy are synonymous. No, they're not. This person clearly had a growth of intimacy towards his wife without necessarily wanting to, feeling the sexual urges, because there was a priority of what needed to be done. She needed to be cared for. The fetus to be baby needed to be cared for, all of those things. And at some level, this husband realized it. Person number 5 said, knowing she was carrying my child brought an extra level of intimacy. Now, this person did also experience like an arousal within this, but the intimacy part, even right here, extra level of intimacy that we hadn't had before, necessary. It makes sense. Number 6, it's a little silly. It's a little silly. She looked hilarious, but in an adorable way. Like, I get it. She was shorter. She was getting a little rounder. Whatever, right? But I was still sexually attracted to her. There was still an attraction there. A lot of people find a growth of it. And I think that what this person's kind of experiencing is like a growth of a different kind of attraction that isn't sexually based, but it's drawing him into his wife in a way that he hadn't experienced before. It was just a thing of raw, powerful beauty. When you know that a woman has made the sacrifice to her body for you, it is the sexiest thing in the entire world. Number 8 doesn't really talk about his experience other than that he still thinks that his wife is hot, but she's going through some changes because she thinks that she's ugly now because she had a C-section scar. Different bodies go through different kinds of things. The thing that remained the same is he's still attracted to his wife. Number 9, Ooga Booga, talking about the boobies. They enjoyed the boobies. Now, number 10, I would like to dive into a little bit more. I think it's still, this experience still fits under the umbrella, but in a different kind of way. So the visual of her belly was slightly off-putting. Let's read this one. If I'm being completely honest, it made me far less it made her far less attractive to me. I think it was mostly in my mind, as I tend to overthink and overanalyze things. The visual of her belly was slightly off-putting, but I found myself really discouraged by the idea of my pew-pew being too close to my child's face. Now, I know that in reality, it has literally no impact and isn't actually anywhere near the child, but that's the sort of thoughts that I would have. None of this was intentional on my part, but I did find myself far more attached and outwardly affectionate than usual. I was incredibly proud of her and as supportive as I could be, but our sex life suffered. When I first started reading this, I was like, Now, like, listen, I understand as somebody that also like pregnancy is very off-putting for me. I say this to my pregnant friends. It's like, I don't know how to hug you. I don't think I should hug you. I feel like you're a delicate balloon and I don't want to pop you. And I know that my experience of that is not singular, right? But the thing that really like drove it home for me was this last bit where he could feel himself being more attached and being more affectionate than usual and being proud of his wife. Like there's a bond, it's a different kind of attraction. The effect, and I think that this person is experiencing it in a way that is different than he had experienced before. And sure, your sex life isn't necessarily going to thrive when somebody's pregnant because there's different kinds of pregnancy. And sure, that could affect the husband in one way, but it will absolutely affect the wife in another way. Some women and some pregnant people are just like, don't touch me. I feel nauseous all the time. Some people have really hard pregnancies. The sex life isn't always going to thrive, but the amount of care, intentionally and unintentionally, should always be there and grow. In my eyes, she's even more beautiful than ever. It was awesome on top of the already awesomeness. I found my wife to be super hot when she was pregnant. There's something about a pregnant woman that makes them intensely attractive. I could not get enough of my wife's body. I find her just as beautiful as before. She was almost magical because of the whole motherhood thing. Yeah. I thought her being pregnant, like the pregnancy, was very cute, and I miss it. There is nothing more beautiful than the women you love creating a life inside her. I worried that I may not find her attractive. The very last sentence up there, I still think she's beautiful. I find it so amazing. Outside of this article, there are stories on stories on stories of women retelling firsthand accounts and other women's accounts of men finding them irresistible the more pregnant they become. Now, why am I sharing this on this very intentionally child free page. Why am I talking about this? Because I know that while I am child free, I want people to be as fully informed about pregnancy, their experience of pregnancy, and why they are choosing to be pregnant. Because if somebody's choosing to be pregnant for a man, or in the thoughts that a certain man will treat them better when they are pregnant, do you know if he actually likes you? Has he made any form of commitment towards you, the child, the rearing of that child? Do you know what kind of man he is? Because fortunately for all of these women, it sounds like, I mean, this is only the stories of their husbands, but it sounds like they hopefully had good pregnancy experiences. A lot of people, a lot of women who are with men have very traumatic pregnancy experiences, not because of anything outside of the man that they are with. Let me rephrase. A lot of people have traumatic pregnancy experiences because of the man that they are with. Not every man that says he likes women likes women. And they will let you know that the moment they feel like they've got you. And for a lot of women, unfortunately, that happens after you're married or when you're pregnant. So if you're choosing to be pregnant, please make sure that when you really, really want to be pregnant for you, because the moment you decide to be pregnant, you are also deciding that it is okay for what? You to be a single mother. Because that baby is forever, that man could leave tomorrow. Being completely honest. So with this, actually, I think that's all. I think those are all of my thoughts for this right now. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, don't forget to tippity type away in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, all those things. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.